What is going on, everybody? It is me, Sam Zamit, coming at you with another awesome video. And today we're going to be covering why there are no new Star Wars games. It's a question that I feel like a lot of people have. And, I know these aren't going to be official answers, but at least we can cover the topic and find out what could possibly be going on. And we're going to go ahead and just start off with one of the main reasons why that these games aren't coming out, and I think development times are 3 times what they were when I was a kid. I was born in 2001. I feel like around that time there was so many new Star Wars games coming out, and then just the sheer volume. There was a bunch of tie-in games, there was a bunch of different Star Wars related content that just kept on being pumped out, and not like those weren't quality games because the development time wasn't coming out. There was just so many different studios that were partaking in the awesome Star Wars IP. There was so many different studios that were like, hey, we're doing a Star Wars game. And the problem right now is we don't have a lot of studios that are taking on Star Wars projects. Currently, I believe, we have Respawn with EA. It seems like Battlefield Studios, which was originally DICE, seems like they're no longer wanting to do Star Wars related stuff because their whole studio name is Battlefield Studios. That'd be weird if Battlefield Studios did a Star Wars game. I hope that they do Star Wars Battlefront 3, but anyway, there's just different. There's not as many developers taking on this risk of a Star Wars game. I mean, Ubisoft tried it. They got in. They put their hand in the pot, and then they realized, oh yeah, we're not the best at this. And also, their CEO came out and was like, you don't get to own your game. So I can understand a lot of. I never bought Star Wars Outlaws. That's the game that was developed by Ubisoft, because I just didn't like the fact that at any point it could possibly be taken away. I just didn't like the thought of that because Ubisoft has some scummy practices. I'm willing to cover that in a different video, but we'll stay on topic. Such a burden, I believe, to take on a Star Wars project because Lucasfilm was not what it was whenever those other Star Wars games were coming out. Think about it. All the leadership is gone. Also, I do believe that Disney is not looking to focus on Star Wars games. So that is something why we don't have a lot of people with this IP. Also, it's expensive to have IPs. If you grab a Star Wars IP, that is so expensive. They're taking so much money off the top of your game if you're developing it. And in some instances, it's probably just not worth it. But if we look at other games, for example, when it comes to big development times, we're going to, of course, talk about GTA 6 and Elder Scrolls 6. Oh, wait, is it Elder? Yeah, it's Elder Scrolls 6. I just want to make sure I don't get that wrong. But those games are just taking so much longer. With GTA 6, I mean, it's, of course, they're putting a bunch of money in it. They're putting billions of dollars into it. And probably a lot of time into Elder Scrolls, at least I hope they are. But it's games like that to where you're kind of, all of those development times, they're too far away from the previous games in the franchise that people have had full-grown children in the time that it has taken these games to go through development and possibly not even come out, Because if we take GTA 6, for example, I mean, that came out 2013? There's 12-year-old kids running around, that were born during that year. That's a crazy thought. I don't even want to go into that. That's just crazy. Another thing that I want to focus on is what is in development. I believe that we have some new news about Star Wars Jedi Survivor 3, that next one in the franchise. We have Eclipse, Star Wars Eclipse. I've made a video on that before. I haven't checked if any news has come out about it, but I haven't heard anything good lately about it. There's just nothing that is worthy of an update on Eclipse. Zero Company, which I believe is a game that is like kind of top-down shooter style. You know, you move multiple different characters at the same time. And then we also have KOTOR remake. That is supposedly in the works. 3 of these, I believe, don't have any release dates. Zero Company might be further along than any of the others, but I know Jedi 3 made by Respawn. You know, hopefully that one is. I looked up a date. It said 2027 to 2028, which I can see that being realistic. Because the last one, developmental cycles is what I'm thinking about. It's taking longer to make these games. One, I'd rather them do that because it's a quality game, but at the same time, we're not having a lot of studios. We're not having a lot of different studios make these games. We are when it comes to these 4 titles, but if you look at the volume compared to back in the early 2000s to now, it is just insane. I feel like also my other point is that Disney, their focus might not be on games, you know, with them being this massive corporation. I mean, there's not a lot of Disney games right now. And so with that, they're going to be focusing more on movies, TV. Gaming has been on the back burner for Disney, I feel like, for years. And with them kind of overheading this whole entire operation, they're just kind of like, yeah, we're just not going to do it right now. Which, you know, I'm not a executive at Disney, and I don't think I want to be. But I feel like they're a big influence on why some of these games aren't coming back. But if we think about the community outreach, think about bring back Battlefront. Battlefront 3, that whole initiative where people were just playing Battlefront 3 and just kept on playing it and just were waiting for announcements and waiting for everything. I'm hoping that we get more of those voices that seem to be unheard towards, you know, EA for Battlefront 3 and a bunch of different studios for different games. You know, I want variety. I don't want a bunch of remakes of older games. You know, I love KOTOR. I've recently started playing that, but I feel like we need to really focus in on new Star Wars IPs, and I know Star Wars Outlaws tried that. You know, I didn't play the game. I should probably check it out at some point. Maybe I can make a video on it. But I feel like there's a lot of unheard voices when it comes to Battlefront 3. They have a new studio head, or they have a new, not new studio head at like EA, but they were bought out. So I have a feeling that it's either good or really bad for EA to be bought out when it comes to Battlefront 3. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm going to start playing the classics. I'm going to start focusing on the games that I grew up with and the games that made me just so happy as a kid. So expect more content from more classic Star Wars games. And anyway, guys, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and God bless.